There is over 300 principles, behavioural science principles in academia, which explain why we do anything ever. A lot of them are overly academic. About 5 or 6 years ago, I went through the horribly laborious but useful process of getting that down into which ones are relevant in business and marketing, of which there's about 60. And we have a full list for anyone who's interested in them. But as you said, Alex, there's 6 that seem to sort of feature in most of these behavioural strategies that I've done over the years. The first one is probably what I call the hero of behavioural, is friction removal. And it's about making it impossibly easy for your customer to say yes. The execution itself will change, but the underlying principle will be that you're making it really easy for the person to say yes. So that's friction removal. One that every marketer will know well, but is absolutely a behavioural science principle, is feedback loops, both positive and negative feedback loops. And you touched on something, Alex, with regards to your love of spending money on tech products. There is a truth in that you like spending money on these things because you're getting this rise of dopamine that happens. Oh, you can't wait to get the thing, right? Now, a day later, your dopamine will, balance again and drop, and your perception of the product won't be as high at the time that you press click to buy, right? Unless as a marketer, we understand this very human, process that will go through our own dopamine, spikes, and the feedback we will have from our immediate environment. And we create a positive feedback loop, which, knowing we've just made an emotional decision, we then validate it through, because we obviously have your email you've just bought from us, with the rational reasons. Did you know you can do X, Y, Z? Here's how to use your drone. Things like that.
It's a good high level. That's number 2. What's number 3?
It segues perfectly. It dovetails in. It's called the sunk cost fallacy, or the Ikea effect, right? When you have spent time in something, even if it's a negative experience in the way that building an Ikea flat pack is, in my humble opinion, what they're doing, whether in-store or sending you the flat pack to your home, they're creating what's known as sunk cost. You've spent time in this. Anything that you spend time in, you start to consider to be a higher proportionate value because you've invested time into it. How can we recognize that somebody will have, or not somebody, all of our target audience will have a sunk cost in whatever their current product is versus the competitor that you are, and you're getting them to change to it? The fourth, I would say, is priming and conceptual priming. So I think a lot of marketing messages come in way too hot instead of explaining what it is, what the thing is, why should I care? So, we need to explain, we need to prime the mind, and this can be done through all sorts of ways. It can be done through understanding the context, so the time of day, the day of the week, targeting your digital marketing around these things, because how we think on a Monday morning is different to how we think on a Saturday night. Number 5, and this is one that gets a lot of talk about in the media, and I discussed it through feedback loops, is the emotional versus rational paradigm. Because we like to think of ourselves as intelligent, informed, rational decision makers, but unfortunately it's not really true. But it's not that we're not rational. We're just also sometimes irrational. The emotional versus rational paradigm is really about knowing how to speak to each particular paradigm and knowing exactly when in your funnel to bring in the more motive-led information versus the rational.
Perfect. And then what's number 6?
Status. Because it's the
status, yeah.
It's the precursor to social proof. This is the invisible social proof. This is just as powerful, in fact, if not more powerful than having 5,000 Google reviews, because if your product can validate somebody's feeling of status or perception of status within the 150 people that are the closest to them, the reasons, we kind of do or buy anything in our lives. If you can connect that piece, my God, you've got a license to print money.